Well, hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to look at what's happening to the brakes of my Focus. For the last couple of days I suddenly started to have a grinding noise every time I brake, and it could be the fact that the brakes are getting worn or something like that. But the fact is that I don't seem to see a lot of wear on the pads, and which I think is a little bit strange, but could be the pad on the other side that could be worn, and the same thing from this side as well. It's just a little bit difficult to check. It doesn't seem to be too worn on this side either, so it could be on the other side of the disc, but it's not a problem at all. I've already bought a new set of discs and pads a couple months ago, and just always waiting for the weather to improve in order to fit them. So that's what I'll be doing now, and I will find out also what is causing the grinding of the discs. So here we are. I've removed the front wheels, and at first look it looks like that they are actually really not too bad, but a closer look once I turn the steering wheel, reveals that the pad wear is uneven. So you see on this side, that's the reason why the for the noise, the cause of the noise, because the pads are completely worn out on this side at least. The wear is totally uneven, and here's the result as well. The discs are in bad condition. However, on the other side it doesn't really seem to be too bad. The pad seems to be much more even. And a closer look, we see that the pad on this side is actually not too bad. I'll focus in here, and on that side as well, you see that there is some meat left in them. You actually can inspect it here. That there is actually still some material left on the pads. The disc wear is actually not as bad as on the other side, but still needs a replacement. So that's what I will be going to do now, to replace the front pads and discs. Now that I've cleaned the brake caliper carrier, I have to press the piston back in. But before, what I've done it was to unscrew the cap of the brake oil reservoir and then try to push the piston back in very slowly, so it doesn't have the oil just coming in at brute force. Unfortunately, I don't have a G-clamp or anything like that, so I have to do this by hand, and it will take a little bit to do. There you go. That wasn't too hard, actually. Now close the oil reservoir again, and that's it. Now what this needs is really a good scrub, so I'm going to do that just now. I'm just going to hold it here on the axle carrier, as it seems to be the only way to do it. Okay, now this is clean from loose rust and other brake dust. The best way to do these kind of things is always, of course, to remove the brake hose. However, I don't have a brake hose clamp with me. That will enable me to remove the brake hose and then just to take the caliper and work outside. But since I haven't got that, I have to work the way as it is now. But my recommendation is, and that's something that will be on next on my shopping list, it is to actually have a brake hose clamp, so that when I do feature brake pad replacements, I can always just take this apart and then work in a much better way. So now it's time to put the brake pads in, but first I think I'm going to put the brake disc. So this is what I went for, a set of Brembo pads and discs. They were actually at a very good price in Euro Car Parts. A set of front pads and discs was just under £100. And one thing about these is, although always I give it a bit of a clean, is that the fact they have a special coating that protects them from rust, as opposed to the oily coating that many manufacturers still use. And this coating usually wears off when you started to use the brakes for the first time. But nevertheless, always good to have a bit of a clean. And on this other side as well. There you go. And now time to put the brake pads. So these are the new ones and these are the old ones. I think there's quite a bit of a difference in there. And looking at these ones now, it looks like there was some corrosion around the pins that support the friction material, which have rusted away, and probably that's what caused me to just part away from the support, lose it, and the brakes started to use basically the metal bit against the disc. So I assume that they still have a bit of coating. It did break away from the support, and that's why it started to create the grating noise. This is a reminder of how important it is to check the brakes. It's not always that the pads have still some friction material left. That's not only the point. It looks like that they haven't been replaced for such a long time, and these bits of rust sometimes you don't really see when you're experimenting the brakes, and therefore it's always good to check them thoroughly, even when they have a bit of friction material left. And of course, like with all brake pads, the best way to put is to use some copper grease to prevent any squealing. Yeah, it's in place. Now, some copper grease has also been applied on the hub, on the caliper carrier, just on these areas where actually the brake pads actually slide on. Now it is time to put the caliper carrier back in place. There you go. It does fit nicely. And now the sliding pins, which have also been coated with some copper grease as well. Now that everything is back into place, just another clean up. And this spring will just keep the brake pads from rattling in place. Now it is time to bleed the brakes, and I'm going to use the method of the Wisconsin system, where it just takes the air pressure from the spare tire, and then I just open the bleed nipple and then just remove any airlock that might be inside. So I have now the system ready and pressurized, so it's time to open the bleed nipple, and you can see so there's no bubbles. It's actually quite alright, which is really good. And close it. So this side now has already been done. It's all ready, and the brakes have been bled. Now I'm going to do this side, but to be honest, I'm not really going to bother to record it because it's simply just the same process as the other side, but we'll come back once I have everything finished. And well, that's all done. Now looking at the condition of the discs, and you could see there was a little bit of a lip in here, although I've seen worse, to be perfectly honest. There looks some scarring marks in here, especially here on the inside, and the telltale sign is really, you could see just you could see a massive indentation on this area here where the pads sit on, and which means that they were way past their best, to be perfectly honest, and still uneven wear. So this was the outside bit and this was the inside bit, and at some point these would have come away. So not only the thickness of the pads is important, but also the condition of the whole braking system. As you can see in here it was hardly any better, to be perfectly honest, and this was the cause of the grinding, where the friction material did break away from its support. So, test drive has been done, and the car brakes really well. Of course, the brake efficiency does take a few miles in order to improve and get up to top performance once you put new brake pads and discs in. But so far so good. Very happy with the result, and thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you watching these videos. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.